Shares of Boeing taking flight today, climbing more than 2.9%. The company announcing positive net orders for the first time in 14 months. Let's get the details with Phil. Phil LeBeau.
Melissa, we knew this day was coming. Let's take a look at a chart of Boeing shares going back to November of 2019. Why are we showing this to you? Because that's the last time that Boeing posted positive monthly orders, which is what it did in February with a net gain of 31 commercial airplanes. And really the turnaround, it all comes down to the 737 MAX. We knew this was coming. We've seen increased number of orders in recent months. We've seen the cancellations coming down. And then in February, what did we see? 39 orders and just 32 cancellations. And the deliveries, 18 737 MAXes. So all of this sets up the question, okay, have they turned the corner? As you take a look at shares of Boeing, keep in mind that while they did have net positive sales of 31 commercial airplanes, and the industry is feeling a little bit better about saying, hey, let's order more planes, this may be a lumpy couple of months here because the industry is still undecided in terms of what kind of commitments it wants to make over the next several years. But there's no doubt that there is greater interest in the 737 MAX. As for whether or not Boeing can get back to the Dow overall, this chart says it all. I mean, look at how much they lost compared to the Dow Jones Industrial Average if you go all the way back to November of 2019. But make no mistake, Melissa, you're starting to see an increase in the backlog now at 4,041 commercial airplanes. You're seeing greater interest in the MAX and greater interest among airlines around the world to perhaps start to order a few more planes, and those would be the MAX that are going to be most in demand.
Phil, thank you. Phil LeBeau in Chicago for us. And this week is sort of like an anniversary for Boeing because it was 2 years ago this week that the 737 MAX was grounded. So if you're in this as a turnaround trade, Tim, and I know you've been in and out, but if you've been in this, has Boeing sort of turned the corner on this? Is that turnaround, is the easiest part of the turnaround done in terms of the gains?
Well, I think, look, the easiest gains are when it went from 80 to 140 on nothing, and you can do the math on that. But I think sentiment-wise, remember, the grounding of the MAX was a lot of noise, a lot of headlines, a lot of appropriate scrutiny on and regulatory focus on Boeing. But it's really been about the destruction of the airline industry. That's really where the stock fell off a cliff. It actually, it traded from the highs where this was an extreme free cash flow story where they're generating $25 of cash a share. It re-rated. It did things that we actually thought, it should be doing and never thought Boeing would be in this place. But now, again, the story here is about the recovery of the airline industry. It's less about the 737 MAX. But if you get into the granular order book, Boeing's edge is really in the wide-body planes, in the 787s, and it wasn't a great month for 787. So I think that there's actually more good news to come. Airbus tends to dominate the narrow-body planes, and so I think that's going to continue to be the story. But United, Southwest in the order book, the fact of the matter is that airlines are starting to see, we talked about this yesterday, higher pricing. They haven't thrown major capacity up there yet, so that's ultimately going to be supportive to everything, even if it's not buying more planes in the short run. In the long run, it sends a very good signal. And I think this is a great trade now, even after this move.
Dan?
I think he covered it all. No, listen, we cancel everything in this culture that we live in right now. 346 people died of their negligence. You couldn't pay me to go on one of those 737 MAXes, to be very frank with you. And Tim makes a very good case of, the destruction of the airline industry because of the pandemic. I don't think this plane has seen the proper reckoning as far as I'm concerned. So if Airbus does well with these smaller planes, fine, have at it. I'll book the Airbus smaller ones. Maybe I'll stay on the 777 if I'm going long distance or very long distance. But to me, I still don't have a taste for Boeing here.
All right.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.